Good morning, and welcome to First Parish in Framingham. We are a Unitarian-Universalist congregation, and we're also a welcoming and affirming congregation, which means that no matter whom you love, how you move around in the world, your race, your age, your gender identity, your beliefs, no matter where you are on your own personal journey, you are welcome here. I'm Terry Dixon, and I use he, him pronouns, and I'm your ministerial intern and also your worship associate for this morning. Please do make sure to read the announcements in the order of service, and please also make sure to put your phones on their quietest setting, onto worship mode, if you will. And although the beeps and buzzes can be distracting, we very much welcome your human noises, especially your laughter and your singing. So please join us with those. And please remember that after the service today, there will be a special congregational meeting to vote on whether to install the EV charging stations. And also today at 5 o'clock in Edwards Church in Saxonville, there will be an annual interfaith Thanksgiving service. So please do join us for that special service. And if this is your first time joining us today, we extend an especial welcome to you. We know it takes a lot of courage to try out a new religious community. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you better. And if this is your religious home, welcome home. It's good to have you back. So now, let us release all that we need to let go of in order to be more fully present to ourselves, to one another, and perhaps to the sacred in this time and in this place. I share these words for our chalice lighting, which were written by Katie Savani-Gelfand. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another. We offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is in the sharing of this hallowed time that sustains us. And now let us sing. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, 1010, in the Teal hymnal, O We Give Thanks.
This precious day, oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
I wonder if we could do that first verse again. I bet you can do it without looking in your hymnals. Good challenge, right?
Thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Good to see all of your faces. Let us now sing other words which may be imprinted on your heart, but can also be found in your order of service, our sung and spoken affirmations.
Is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow to harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. We are a people of great joy and deep sorrow. Now we share the things which weigh deepest on our hearts. And in between sharing our sorrows and our joys, we will sing a verse of Comfort Me. You may submit your joys or sorrows online or in the book at the back of the sanctuary. So these are the sorrows of our congregation. Jim H. has a sorrow. Our friend's mother died on Friday after struggling to recover from COVID. We hold Jim, his friend, and their entire family in our hearts. And Bonnie B. has a concern that we are not honoring or celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. And on Thanksgiving, as we express our gratitude for everything in our lives and all our blessings, it is important that we acknowledge our treatment of American Indians over the centuries. And now I would invite you all to join in singing. I'm sorry, I have one further one, forgive me. A further concern. This is from Alexis S. A concern that her aunt got into a really bad accident, wishing her prayers in the ICU. And so, let us join in singing, Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. And now for our joys. Tom G. has a joy. We are expecting our first granddaughter in April, as well as having 3 of our kids getting married in June, July, and October. And as Tom says, this is proof that there truly is life after politics. And we have a joy from the entire choir. Congratulations to our alto Natalie on her upcoming marriage. Wishing you many years of love. And Karen G has a joy for the much needed rain we received in the last few days. And Marianne has a simple joy. Happy birthday, sweetie. And Kevin S. has a joy for attending a cousin's wedding in New York City this Thursday. It was a gay old time by all. And Kathy M. has a joy. It's so happy that holiday music has begun again on Magic 106.7. So, for all of those joys, let us now sing Sing With Me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. And let us light one final candle for all those joys and sorrows that are left unspoken, but held in our hearts. And so now let us sing, Speak for Me. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me,
Speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul.
I am the Reverend Stockwell Wisman. I use he, him, his pronouns, and it is my honor, as always, to be your senior minister. Our time for contemplation today is participatory. We have done this a few times. The Cuernavaca embodied prayer. I invite you to participate as much or as little as you want. The instructions are in the words that I will say. And I'll be looking down at the instructions, so I am not looking up to see who is participating. Let us take a moment to focus on our breath in and our breath out, taking a few comfortable breaths to release all that we need to let go of. Placing our feet on the ground, feel its energy, breathing, slowing, relaxing our bodies and opening to the spirit of life. Now bringing our hands to the prayer position with our thumbs touching the heart, we remember our connection to the heart of all that is. Bringing our hands down, palms open in a gesture symbolic of gratitude. We are grateful to receive the gifts of this day. Grateful for the gifts we recognize and those we don't. Grateful for those people in our circles. We open ourselves to receive the gifts of this week's journey. Touching our palms back to back, fingers pointing to the sky, in a gesture symbolic of memory. We remember our past, all that brought us here. Grateful for all of what has made us who we are. We give thanks for our individual and our collective past. Turning our hearts, backs still together, fingers moving in to touch the heart in a gesture recognizing our authentic selves. We feel our emotions, feeling where we are right now and what is happening inside, who we are without all of the masks that we put on. We give thanks for our authentic selves and all the feelings we carry into this moment and into this week. Extending our arms out, palms down, we reach for the good, the sacred, in a gesture symbolic of reaching for God or good, our yearning to connect, to love and be loved. Now bringing our arms up to the sky, we give thanks for the air that we share with love and care. Rich and poor, all of creation, we acknowledge that we pollute the earth. We ask for forgiveness. We acknowledge the mystery of the skies, the universe, and we give thanks. Coming down to touch the ground or as close as you can, we express thanks for her. We acknowledge that we do not even acknowledge often that we are walking on her. And we acknowledge that we pollute and we harm the earth, and we ask for forgiveness. Now, rising, we bring our hands in a prayer position to the third eye, and we ask for vision, for clarity, and for new ways to love and live. Bring our hands now back to the heart, touching our center. We feel how we are always connected to the spirit of life. May it be so, and amen. And now is the time for us to settle in to the quiet of this old house, made holy by our presence here. This is the time to pray the prayers of our own hearts, to listen, or to simply do absolutely nothing. That is your only assignment for right now. And let us, as we leave this time of quiet, be reminded that we can return. When our days are tempest-tossed, we can return to that quiet once again.
Although I didn't grow up with it, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It is a time of gratitude and a time of generosity, a time for recognizing the people and things that matter most in our lives. So this week, may we remember and be generous to this church that means so much to us. This church that meant so much to those who came before us, and this church that will mean so much to those who come after us. Please give what you can, for you are a grateful people, and you are a generous people.
It is not in the program, but that is okay, because I will tell you what I think we should do now. I invite you to turn to responsive reading 515 in the back of the hymnal. I invite you to join along in the italic types, 515. The words in italics will be your response. For the sun and the dawn which we did not create, for the moon and the evening which we did not make, for food which we plant but cannot grow, for friends and loved ones we have not earned and cannot buy, for this gathered company which welcomes us as we are from wherever we have come, for all our free churches that keep us human and encourage us in our quest for beauty, truth, and love, for all things which come to us as gifts from sources beyond ourselves, gifts of life and love, friendship. We lift up our hearts in thanks this day. I always love hearing that hymn, those words that the choir sang so beautifully. That John Rutter arrangement is always stunning. I was reminded earlier I reminded myself earlier that the composer of those words, Folliot Pierpont, I believe it was, composed those words when he was just 28 years old. He was walking around some nature wherever he lived and was just so taken by all of creation that he sat down and wrote these words that we have sung. Such gratitude. And I believe that the sailor must have gratitude for the horizon, as well as gratitude for the winds, and of course for the boat that they are journeying on. Gratitude, too, perhaps, for the waves as well. Years ago, while my family was on vacation on Cape Cod, we went and we visited both Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket in the same day. And I now remember absolutely nothing about either of those islands, which is rather surprising given my penchant at the time for remembering, nearly everything. But I do remember the boat ride between the two islands. On the Cross Rip was the name of it, and mostly what I remember was how terrible that boat ride was. The waves were incredibly choppy, and the boat itself seemed too small. I felt seasick, truly tossed around by all of the waves. And there was probably some panic in me, as I was apt to have in those days, a little bit of fear. I now know that that boat made thousands of trips, all successful. But in that moment, I was convinced that I would be on the boat when it met its watery demise. And I remember the advice of my grandfather, Bryce, a veteran in the U.S. Navy during World War II, that he shared as we were on the boat about how to avoid feeling seasick. He said, if you move to the center of the boat on the lowest deck, that is where the ride is the most stable. When you are on the margins of the boat, either the front or the back or the bow or the stern, or on the sides, the movement is the most extreme. If you are able, move to the center of the boat, where the yaw and the pitch and the roll is lessened. I remember my grandfather actually lying down on the lowest deck. He was that seasick. He also said, fix and find a point on the horizon. This fixed point far off on the distance can help. I also remember him giving me this advice as he was pushing me on a merry-go-round at a playground somewhere, and he was pushing me as fast as he possibly could. And he said, Aaron, pick a point that on every rotation your eye will come back to. Hydration, he said, is also key when you are seasick. I don't know the scientific reason, but in general, if there is something that is ailing you, drink some water. whether it is intense grief, and these are my words, not his words, he was not this poetic. If there is intense grief or even the slightest little headache, drink water. Get yourself out in the sun. You are a complicated houseplant with feelings sometimes. Now, credit to remembering these words and this experience must go to my father and my minister as well. I was speaking with my dad this week, who relayed to me that our family was attending our home church again after a long hiatus. And the minister there, my dear friend, the Reverend Kemmler, had shared these tips, some of these tips about how to avoid seasickness. It is possible that some of us are feeling seasick right now. This, I think, is also how justice and gratitude intermingle. As Lauren and I sat down to plan the family service, our 10 o'clock service, I shared that even though I was the one that came up with the sermon title, Justice and Gratitude, I really had no idea how I was going to make that connection. I was really struggling to find resources on gratitude and justice. We have been loosely exploring justice as a worship theme during this month, as it is one of our new UUA shared values. And we're trying to figure out, what does it mean to have these new values? And gratitude, because this is the season in our secular calendars where we in the United States of America express gratitude. So today I share some of what I found. I begin with two kind of provocative ideas, I think, on gratitude. The first idea I couldn't quite get into, but sometimes we must preach against something or why we strongly disagree with something rather than for something. These first two ideas come from an article by Peter Fitzgerald in Ethics, the Journal of Ethics, in about the year 1998. The first is to have gratitude for those who harm you. I admit that when I saw that, I said, nope, absolutely not. I disagree with that. And I sat with it a little bit longer. It seemed to me to be professional misconduct for anyone across any helping profession to encourage someone to be grateful to those who harm you. I am not suggesting this necessarily. The author highlights the plight and the persecution of the Dalai Lama with this quote from the Dalai Lama's words. The Dalai Lama says, "Even our enemies give us the best training in patience." When we reflect on these holy instructions, in a way we should feel grateful to the Chinese. If we were living in the same old system, I doubt very much that the Dalai Lama would have come so closely associated and acquainted with worldly reality. I used to live in a very sheltered environment, but now that we are in exile, there is no stigma attached to facing reality. In our own country, he says, we could pretend that everything was in order because it was shrouded under a cloak of pomp and show. I had to sit on a high throne assuming the attitude of being the Dalai Lama. It is quite possible that I could have become narrow-minded, but because of the threats of the Chinese and their humiliations, I have become a real person. So what happened in Tibet could be seen as a blessing in disguise. I think the crucial thing here, and the author of the paper, Fitzgerald, reminds us, an essential part of this story is that the hardship was forced on this man against his will. In this sense, he did not accept the opportunities that their hardship presented. Instead, they chose to see their hardships as opportunities after they had occurred so that they could make the best out of a bad situation, or in the terms of the traditional Buddhist metaphor, turn poison into medicine. Great. I think this takes incredible fortitude to do. It takes a certain kind of person to do this when their personhood is threatened. A few weeks ago, I talked about the stages of faith development from James Fowler, and I said that the sixth stage was reserved for special, certain people, like the Dalai Lama, like Mother Teresa, like Thich Nhat Hanh. This phase known as the universalizing faith. They were rare. Maybe, perhaps, we learn from an unfortunate situation that happens in our life, but gratitude to those who harm us seems like an expert level of gratitude that I don't recommend we try at home. Gratitude is, therefore, a choice in this scenario. But what I have learned about Buddhist practice is not that we reach equanimity in our reactions in the face of brutality so that we do not respond to our aggressors and our captors. It's not that at all. Equanimity, from the teachers that I have learned it from, is that we have equanimity to find the next best response. The loving kindness metta includes the line where we send metta, where we send loving kindness to an enemy. And whenever I get to this part, when I practice it, which is infrequently, so maybe if I practiced it more, it would come a little bit more easy. This sending metta to an enemy is something that I struggle with, and perhaps that's good. Maybe you would as well. I think it is less about loving those who persecute you and more about keeping your eye on the horizon. Perhaps it is more about loving yourself when you are persecuted. Now, another provocative form of gratitude from this article is gratitude to someone whom you benefit. Ram Dass and Paul Gorman explain the Buddhist view of compassion in terms of self-discovery. Caring for one another, we sometimes glimpse an essential quality of our being. Picture this: you may be sitting alone, lost in self-doubt or in self-pity when the phone rings, and it's a call from a friend who is really depressed. Instinctively, we come out of ourselves just to be there with them and to say a few reassuring words. When we're done and a little comfort's been shared, we put down the phone and we feel a little bit more at home with ourselves. We're reminded of who we really are and what we have to offer one another. I think this form of gratitude is a little bit easier for me to stomach because it acknowledges that the helper is changed in the helping. Now, if you volunteer with the Metro West Free Medical Program, or if you teach in our ESL classes that we offer here, if you do some other thing that benefits someone else, you are likely grateful for the patients that you serve, or for your students. They change you. They shape you. And we have to allow the possibility for us to be changed when we do justice work. Justice invites change, and change invites relationship. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know what it is for you. And also, when you are proximate with people who are less fortunate than you, you cannot help but be moved. You cannot help but learn of what else they need. Now, there is another important form and direction of gratitude. If you attended the 10 a.m. service, our family service, you already heard a little bit about this. But I wonder, what if we pledged allegiance to gratitude? Maybe that would be the more meaningful to say, not that rote thing that we all began saying perhaps in the first grade if you grew up in the United States. Saying words that at first grade we have no idea what they actually mean. Robin Wall Kimmerer writes about this practice in her delicious book, Braiding Sweetgrass, a book you need to read slowly because it is so dense in nutrients and beautiful words. in the Onondaga tradition of keeping words of gratitude above all else and before all else, the Thanksgiving address. My guess is each nation of people that lived on this land before we did likely had their own words of gratitude. This is just one nation's way of saying it. And more than an invitation of gratitude, an invocation of gratitude as well, more than those things, Kimmerer writes, it is a material, scientific inventory. It is a lesson in science, in reciprocity. Kimmerer quotes Frida Jakes, elder of that tribe, saying this: the Thanksgiving address reminds you every day that you have enough, more than enough. Everything needed to sustain life is right here. When we do this every day, it leads us to an outlook of contentment and respect for all creation. She closes by saying this: you can't listen to the Thanksgiving address without feeling wealthy. I tried this a few weeks ago, or a form slightly of it, while I was out on my run in the neighborhood that we live in, using Rilke's poem that I quoted in a Faithful Dispatch a few weeks ago, last week, I think it was. Praising the things that were on my 3-mile run, with each footfall, with each breath in, saying a silent, I praise, I praise, I praise, which is truly saying I give thanks for, just a few less syllables when you are running. That run, which I've done many times, was different that day. My seasick and lovesick friends gathered here. I wonder if a little bit more gratitude would help us focus a little bit more. I wonder if it would center us. Remember, when we feel seasick, keep hydrated and keep your eyes on the horizon. May it be so, and amen. Let us now rise, and body or spirit both work just fine, to sing our closing hymn. It's number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Witness the
And so as we leave this friendly place, let us take the light of love out into the world and use it to brighten our pathways. And when we need to rest or recharge, be challenged or affirmed, may that light guide us safely back. May we hold the light always, and the light hold us always. Amen, and go in peace.